Come on. All right,
Not
go.
too sure at the moment, but do you have any questions about, I don't know, something that's been bugging you lately or?
Um, I tell you what, I'll share this with you that I thought was rather odd. I was talking to a bartender here
Mhm.
um, in town, and I told her, "Oh, I'm attending bartending school, and so if you ever need a backup bartender or even a bar back or something like that, let me know. I might be able to, like to help you out." And she said to me, she said, "Oh, well, we don't really hire people who have gone through bartending school." And
Interesting. That is very interesting.
yeah, so I'm like, "Why?" And she says, "Oh, well, they train you wrong." And
Oh, wow.
isn't that weird?
That is very, very weird. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever had that happen to me before. And this was just locally. What do you mind telling me whereabouts you stay, you live?
Okay, so I live in New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay.
It's a small town, and
Mhm.
this is a very small local bar.
Mhm.
And it's not part of a restaurant chain or anything like that. It's just the local dive bar basically. And so
I
I
love
kind
dive.
of interpreted that answer to sort of be, well, we do things our way, and we don't want you coming in and telling us that we should do it a different way. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we're being trained on the professional, proper way to do it, and my
Right.
guess is that they just do that. You know, so
Yeah, dive bars are very like the nature of dive bar is just more you're hosting like a party or just like friends. That's the kind
yes,
of feel that you get from there. It's not like a super serious place where you're going to be like making this craft cocktail that, smoke is coming out and no, nothing of the sort. It's more like highballs. Let's have good conversation and regular. So honestly, I love dive bars. I think dive bars are awesome, super awesome.
yeah.
Um, who is it? Yeah. So
And and she's very popular. Everyone loves her because, you walk in the door, she knows your name and she knows what you drink. So she'll have it out on the counter right, by the time you get there. So and that's what she was saying to me. She goes, they teach you all this stuff, but you're not going to use any of that. What you got to do is learn, what people like to drink and, that kind of stuff. And so,
that's very true. I mean, there's a truth to that too. Just depending on where you live or where you're going to be bartending. Sometimes it's about just what the guests want. Like they'll ask for shaken martinis, which to me, just from what I learned, is it's just like it's just completely wrong. But some people really like that. And we can't really judge that. We should just do it the way that the guest wants. And that's what you
yeah.
see a lot in like dive bars. Some people just want like an old fashioned with just please put some orange juice inside. I've seen that before. I've heard of it before. It's weird, but it just is what it is.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So, and maybe that's just all that that's what she sort of meant was, yeah, if you want to work in a bar like this, being professional may not match.
Yeah.
If you're gonna enforce being so professional and all that. So, okay. So the only other kind of area of concern that I have for myself
Mhm.
is how the best way to memorize all these recipes and quantities and that type of thing. Um, I mean, obviously, if I'm doing a rum and coke, that's pretty easy to do, right? But when you get into the 5 or 6 or 7 item
Yeah,
cocktails,
absolutely. That yeah, it can get pretty complex. Um, Something that has helped me is like, huh. I know that the way that I like to learn is by learning with just starting off with the classic cocktails. And when you have those classic cocktails, you'll start to notice that a lot of those cocktails are going to have a lot of similarities. So just memorizing classics, I think, is going to be the most important thing for you. By memorizing just since we're here in the USA, we use a lot of ounces. So
Mm,
just remember, like a shot is one and a half standard, and then neat is always going to be 2 ounces. So when you're making martini or cocktails that go up, they're always going to be about 4 ounces or so of liquid. And when you're
okay.
making um, other things, they're going to be about like 3.5 to 3 ounces.
Okay. All right. That's good to follow. The other thing I was noticing, because I was looking through, when I got my kit, I got a bartending, professional bartending school book kind of thing, and then the bartender's Bible. And I was looking at some recipes of the same drink, and some of them showed different quantities. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so, so yeah, to explain that to me and what to do with that information.
Okay, yeah. So I had created this Word document because in a lot of cases, since we had prohibition, a lot of things have kind of gone through the telephone game. So everyone has their own specs, so their own specifications on how they want to make their own classic cocktails. So like daiquiri, I say it's 2 ounces of rum, 3/4 of lime, and 3/4 of simple syrup, right? So that's the standard daiquiri, but you will see other measurements like 1.5 ounces of white rum, half ounce of this, half ounce of lime, and then another half ounce of something else. So like another different type of rum, but it's essentially the same thing. Um, on my Word doc that I do have, or that I do write out, I have all of the classics plus different specs from different people that have made a name for themselves. So like very popular bartenders, and you'll see them, and I highlight the ones that are the standard in my opinion. So if you want, you can send me your email and I can share that document with you. I share it via Google Docs.
Okay. How do I send it to you? Just in this chat or another way?
Um,
I'll probably do it in the
yeah,
chat.
you can send me a private message.
I'll just send it here just to you. Um,
Okie doke. Awesome.
okay. There you go.
Great. I got it here.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
go ahead and send over that my document, and then you can see uh, and just kind of go off of that instead. But I do also have the other measurements for other things there too. So that should
So if
make
I'm going, my goal is to work at different events and things. So different hotels and caterers and that type of thing. So they're all going to be different. And um, I'm wondering when I approach them, or when I'm working for them, if I need to find out what kind of pours they want. Like some of the drinks say an ounce and a half, some say ounce, some say two for the vodka or rum or whatever the spirit is. Is it something I should be asking the venue how they want it, or just do whatever I'm used to doing or want to do?
I would go with what they are saying because they will give you a certain measurements. If you're planning on doing events, then those events are going to be like, for instance, I worked an event where they wanted you to be using their jiggers, and their jiggers were measuring up to 1.25. Everything else they seem to be pretty lenient on, except for the booze. So just always know what amount of booze they're going to do, and then you get to decide how much of the other juices, unless they specify. So they will specify it to you.
Okay. All right. They will. Okay. Good to know. Okay.
They should.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and get started here then. My name is Rudy, by the way, for those who don't know me. I love bartending. It's a passion of mine for sure. This is my bar, built it with my girlfriend. I live in Los Angeles, and I frequently fly out to New York. Love, love New York. Um, Here in LA, it's very fruit based, very balanced, fruity cocktails. Whereas when I go to New York, it's more spirit forward. Maybe I'll see more shrubs there, stuff of that nature. So I like to basically experience both of those worlds. Um, I don't know if you can see in the chat here, so I'm gonna copy this and I will send it again. So this link right here, this link, just go ahead and click on this link after the video or after this lesson. Just submit like a 30-second or more video explaining something that you've learned, or maybe how to make a certain cocktail that's your favorite, just anything that's bar related, for 30 to a minute. And also just to make sure you all know that in order to finish this course, you have to watch at least, I believe it's 2 of these videos.
I
Two
think
of
it's
these,
3.
is it 3?
I think it's 3.
Okay, I forget sometimes. So 3 videos just to stay safe. Um, and yeah, all right, let's get started with this lesson. So let me go ahead and open up my notes here. We're going to be talking about how to elevate your resume and look for a well-suited job. So let's start off with looking for a well-suited job. This is where you kind of have to be a little bit more introspective about where you feel like you'll thrive. And the best way that we can do that is by knowing each of these different bar locations where you could be working. So let's talk about number one. Number one, which I think is probably the easier uh, jobs to get, is probably going to be like working at festivals, because they're always looking for a lot of bartenders. I've been in festivals like, I don't know, like an EDC concert where there's like 100 bartenders. So they will need a lot of people, and it's wild seeing so many bartenders in one spot. But once they do have that amount, it's just basically up to you to make out that tip out. But it's a very good job to have. It's not as frequent, so it's not going to be consistent. Um, I had nights where on one day I'd walk back home with like $1,200. So festivals are really fun, a really good place to work, and plus they're very welcoming to all different types of personalities. So catering, festivals, I would go for something like that. um yeah, so clubs, like I said, it's for everybody. So if you want to get your foot in the door and you want to show or showcase the skills that you've learned, that's the best way to do it. And most places, even the festivals, will tell you exactly how they want their cocktails to be made, or that specific event's cocktails to be made. All right, so festivals, catering, very good. Let's talk about dive bars. Let me go ahead and whip out. Oh wait. One moment here. Share screen. Okay. All right, so I'm sharing this screen just because here you can pretty much see, this is what a festival would kind of be like. This is more of like a very like a smaller event. You would have your own little spot back here. The ice will probably be in like a red bucket, typically like a massive red bucket lined with a bag. You'll have a scooper. The best scooper to have is something with holes in it so that the water drains as the night goes on. They will give you their own spigots or their own water speed pours, and you just basically listen to what they have to say. They'll only have like 4 cocktails. If it's like a private event, sometimes they'll have a full bar, so just be aware of classic cocktails. If you're not aware of them, that's fine. You can always refer back to whatever you look at online like Google, it's not the end of the world. So people tend to be pretty okay with that as long as it's in a timely manner. Okay, one. I need to move this.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
So, I was actually I was with my instructor today. We had a session, and we were talking about the different spouts and the way they pour differently and all that. So every time you go to a new place, like an event like this, you're not going to, the spouts are going to be different to you or new to you. So is it okay to somehow, maybe when no one's looking, to kind of practice and the pour, just with water to try to figure out what my count will be based on their spout, because it's going to be different, right? So how do you learn that you're how you're doing your well, if you're measuring, I get it. If you're measuring, then you'll
Mhm.
always get it right. Is that the thing then? Events, then you should always measure, always use the jigger.
Typically, yeah, that's kind of how they want you to do those things. And your instructor is correct. The pour spouts do vary. But if you're measuring, you'll be fine consistently. One thing that I always recommend is to always allow what is that? Just always use jiggers no matter what. A lot of people are going to be saying that it's very slow to use. At first, it will be slow, but after you get the hang of it, it really doesn't take that much time away from when you're pouring free pour. Free pouring is like fine, but you're never gonna get like those exact measurements, even if we are counting. So it's I think it's just good practice to always be using your jigger. Um, yeah, so I would do that, but if you would want, you can practice doing your pours counting with your jigger, and then using that until you're ready to until you feel confident to free pour.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, let's see what else we got here. All right, all right, so this is a photo, or well, was a photo. This right here is a photo of a lounge. This is like working at hotels or like a restaurant lounge. So this is a little bit more chill. You do have to look very professional for this type of gig. They'll normally give you some sort of uniform to wear, and it's gonna have people coming to you every now and again. There will be gaps. I'm just going to move out of here. There will be gaps of time when you don't have a lot of people coming. So you will have to learn how to just fill in that space with other work like wiping down bar tops, cleaning the dishwasher, which never hardly ever happens. So it's very good to kind of get into that mojo when there's downtime. All right, so this next photo here, this is a lounge, so club lounge. This is where there's going to be a lot of loud music. Um, it's going to be a lot of dancing. People will definitely pregame before coming through. So there's a lot of babysitting that's happening here, and you're going to have to really talk to people in this quite loudly. So you have to have a very good diaphragm, I want to say, just like use that diaphragm to actually speak out to people and also to listen into what they are ordering. So this is a very fast paced location. um so that's it's a chaotic storm that you're trying to drive through. It's its own kind of high. So I'll leave it at that. All right, and then we have other places that are just restaurant and bar. So it's going to be mostly focused on just the restaurant aspect. But the bar portion, it's good to know a lot, because when people do come to the bar and they see that you do know things, that's when it starts to kind of almost become it'll almost become a neighborhood bar. I've seen it happen a couple of times. So always do a good job, but it's not going to be the main attraction for most of the people. Okay, there's that one. And then this is like a mixologist bar. You'll notice it's just it has its own super theme. Um, you'll be you'll be using a lot of crazy uh, glassware and other things of that nature. Um, yeah, you'll be using a lot of tools here. So this is a very only focused on cocktail bar. Okay. And then this last one here is one of my favorite types of bars, which is dive bar slash neighborhood bar. This is where people kind of come and just have a great conversation, meet with their local friends, just come to this place after work. Dive bars are just a very great place for it's basically like the show Cheers. You're just getting together with friends and having a good time. So that's why I love dive bars as well. They can be very beer focused, or they can be highball focused. They can even be craft mixology focused, as long as they make sure to keep the prices right. All right, so that's what dive bars are. So with that knowledge, you gotta find out, are you the type of person that would work in any of these places, right? um Again, I would look online for any event and festival jobs, because it's a really great way to get your foot in the door to any of these places. Okay, so let's talk about our resumes. Let's dress up our resumes and make sure that they look good. In most cases, I'm assuming that our resumes are not going to have any bartending experience. So I'm starting off with the level entry resumes. Okay. So level entry. Okay. This is a very great example here. Sharing again. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Hopefully it's not too small there. If it is, just put me on full screen. So entry level bartending resume. So in my opinion, I like when I've hired bartenders in the past, I always like seeing that they would provide a photo of themselves, because that way I can see who they are as a person rather than just seeing a sheet of paper with just writing on it. It almost makes it like a personal thing, like I'm a human being. This is who I am, and then this is my everything else. So um on the very top, I'd always add my phone number, my email. You don't have to put your whole address. You can just put your the state or city and state. That way they know whereabouts you are going to be, because that's where I look anyways, just to see how far away you are from me, and then we can discuss, is this a route that you want to be taking? um, so definitely have all those ready there for that. In the profile, so your bio, you want to, in my opinion, I think it's very strong to put like a 3 sentence bio, um, just talking about what your strengths are. In a lot of cases, we will be seeing the exact same things. Like, for instance, here on this resume, enthusiastic and hardworking, um, skill sets as well. Always make sure to also add your skill sets that can be similar to bartending. And I'll give you a few of those in a bit too. Um, and I'll give you an example as well of a bio afterwards. So just add stuff like enthusiastic, hardworking, stamina, able to work like 12 hours plus, stuff of that nature. because they, as a bartender, you will notice that a lot of these places are going to want you to work for a pretty long period of time sometimes. So it's either like 6 hours, 8 hours. It can even go to like, you know, I've worked the festivals, and the festivals can take quite some time. They could be about 16 hours. So, yeah, you're looking at a lot there. Professional experience. This is a very good one. If you've been a server in the past, go ahead and put that in there. You're going to be very similar to a server. If not, you're like kind of the in between of server and chef, because you're dealing with the person in front of you, and you're making cocktails for them. So, server is a very good thing to put on there. You can also put chef, because it kind of shows that, you know, you do know how to work hard. You do know your ways around a kitchen, therefore you're going to know how to do anything at a bar. Bussers is very good too. Bussers are very awesome. If you were a barista at a point, baristas are very attractive to me, in particular, just because it's a very similar role to bartending. Because in when you're a barista, you're going to be shaking coffee drinks, you're going to be mixing coffee drinks as well. So anything that is very similar to that is very helpful. All right, but the key things are always going to be be customer service. Customer service is a very big one. Hardworking, so long hour stuff, anything like that. Okay, so that's this here. On the side, it has education. That's always good to have. The key skills, we will go over those and see which ones are going to be good for entry level. Awards, that can also work too. All right, let me go ahead and stop sharing that. All right. Okay. Let me get to our spot here. Okay, so keep it to 3 sentences max. I am friendly, enthusiastic, organized, and I excel at upselling. Upselling is a very attractive thing for bars as well. Upselling, it shows that you know how to talk about, or sell spirits, sell cocktails. You're selling product when you're working as a bartender. So it's a very big deal. All right. Second sentence, I am a self-starter and have a experience controlling inventory as well as working in a strong team. So if you are or have worked in anything where you're working with others, it's always good to make sure to say that that you work in with a team of others. And lastly, we have I am familiar with classic and modern cocktails and can learn procedures very quickly. I think that's a very important thing, especially for us, where we're learning or we're learning about like classic and modern classic cocktails through these lessons. So it's very important to add that onto your resume heading. Okay, so let's go over key qualifications and responsibilities that you kind of want to add to your resume. Um, Being hospitable is a very, very strong thing to have on your resume. Hospitality, you're in the industry of hospitality as a bartender. So saying that you're hospitable is very necessary more than anything. You can say, created some fun cocktails based off of, interests, or based off of friend requests, stuff of that nature. Successfully managed to make multiple drinks without compromising the quality. So, saying things like I'm very meticulous, which, to a lot of management ears, you're going to be they're going to be thinking, okay, this person really measures out their cocktails if they're meticulous. So they're going to be using jiggers and whatnot. Um, let's also say that we're well aware of mise en place. Mise en place is French for everything in its place. So the reason why that's very important in the industry is because if things are placed in other locations, it's going to really disrupt the flow. Honestly, it's one of my biggest pet peeves if like there's a bottle behind me and then that bottle just somehow disappears into another location. It ruins my flow. So if I'm trying to pump out cocktails, super quickly, that takes a lot of time for me now because now I have to go look for where did this bottle go. So everything back in its place because you don't want to ruin your flow or anyone else's flow. You just want to keep a nice steady stream of cocktails getting pumped out. Okay, so mise en place. Will meticulously follow legal sanitation policies. That's also very important. Not a lot of resumes I've seen contain stuff like that. So if you want to kind of pop out a bit, definitely put that you follow legal sanitation policies. Ensure clean and organized bar. Properly prepare cocktails with proper technique. Can maintain regular clientele through professional and friendly services. All right, so that's also another thing because whenever people or business owners, management are going to be looking for someone to bartend for them, they want someone who can basically maintain regulars. So get people to come back. Another is the upselling. Upselling is a big thing for sure. All right. Now that's key qualifications and responsibility options that you can have on your resume. And then another portion here is the skills, like key skills that you have. So let's start those. Key skills for your resume, customer service has to be there. Cash handling skills definitely has to be there. Dependability, flexibility, physical endurance, stamina, and strength, hospitable, and then obviously you want to put knowledge of cocktails, any kind of knowledge that you already have. You want to just add that to this. So knowledge, great memory. So because we're learning these cocktails, we can say that we have great memory. Composure during high pressure. That's something that I definitely wanted to talk about as well. When you're working at a bar, there are moments where there's going to be a lot of pressure on you, and it can be kind of daunting at first, but that's something that you kind of have to get through. If you're working at like a club lounge, again, this is a very loud environment. It gets pretty chaotic. So sometimes it's hard to hear someone and it's hard to, relay information to that person. And then it's just like your cocktails just start to keep building and building. So you got them shouting out cocktails at you while you have your ticket machine back here just kind of spewing tickets out because other people like I don't know, cocktail servers will be ringing in a bunch of cocktails themselves to serve people that are out there dancing and lounging around. So you have all these coming out, you have these people talking to you, there's other people trying to get your attention. You have to be like, hey, listen, like I'll get to you in a second. That buys so much time. But the reality is being in that is pretty again daunting. Just put your mind in like a just kind of reset a little bit if you have to. Just compose yourself. Okay, so definitely put that composure during high pressure. Communication is very important as well. Being able to communicate with your team members. There's going to be instances where someone has drank way too much, so you have to let your team members know, your management know, hey, this person, I cut this person off. because a lot of guests are going to want to play. If mom said no, then dad will say yes, or vice versa, whatever. So they're going to go ask someone else. If, if you've already cut them off, they'll be like, okay. And then they go ask somebody else. So always communicate with your team. There are other things too. For instance, let's say something fell into a bottle. So you put it off to the side. You want to make sure to let everyone know not to use this bottle that has been compromised. So little things like that. Consistency. Whenever people see consistency, they see that as like the most helpful thing for their bars, because consistency is key to getting regulars. It's key for people to come back. And it's key for upselling as well, like or different ways to upsell. So consistency is very important. Problem solver, because there's going to be so many different situations that they just want to know that they can rely on you for making all these different decisions, because you are at your title is very, it's in a place where you will be dealing with a lot of different things. Meticulous, again, that's like a spicy word. I like to see that whenever I see a resume. So there's that. Okay. Good. Also, another thing that I've noticed too is that well, talking to some people, that they are or feel like they shouldn't apply to certain places. Um, just apply to everything. It doesn't matter if you feel like you don't meet those requirements. Just apply to everything, do your interviews, and you never know, you just might get that job. And if you do get that job and you're worried about, oh shoot, I don't know all the things that they want me to know, there's always going to be a training period. Almost every job that I've had, or that I've posted, there's always going to be a training period. So again, just apply and don't be afraid of applying. Okay. All right. So in some cases, I haven't seen a lot of these, but um, cover letters. They can be a pretty solid way to introduce yourself. Kind of have like a preemptive interview. Uh, So the best way to make sure that the management does read this is by making sure that it's just like 3 paragraphs and nothing more, nothing too crazy. All right. This is also a very great way to express your interest in, bartending or working for this company in general. So in order to do a cover letter, obviously just research the location, and also really get to know what their values are, and just pretty much what they're all about. So it's going to be the same a little bit. It's going to be very similar to your bio, your resume bio. So your resume bio has the 3 sentences. A really good way of dealing with that is by taking the first sentence and then making your first paragraph of your cover letter pretty much explaining your first sentence, and then the same for each of the other sentences. So take your second sentence and then just explain that in your second paragraph, just in more detail. So if, let's say, let me see, let's say your first paragraph is, I'm friendly, enthusiastic, organized, and I excel at upselling. Then you can say something of the nature of, hello, my name is so and so. I'm super interested in working for your company. It seems like this would be a great fit for me because your values are, being hospitable, which is something that I think I am. I am a host of nature by nature. I'm a host by nature. I like to connect with people, and I do upsell because I have great ideas with top shelf spirits, blah blah. So things of that nature that kind of explain your first sentence and so forth. Okay. All right. A very, very big one that I think is important, besides all of that, would be dressing the part. So I still do this. If I go and I look for a job, then I do look at their website. I check out what their values are, just how they're doing, and I also take note of what their uniforms are. In most cases, it's going to be like a black button up, black slacks, and then non-slip shoes. But I look to see if there's anything different. For instance, Granville, they have a blue button up shirt and black slacks and then non-slip shoes. So I walked to Granville at a point in my life, and I wore a dark blue button up with a blazer, just so that I can kind of give the impression that I already worked there. It also allows for management to see how I look like in their uniform. So I don't know if it's just me, but I think it like subconsciously kind of gives them the impression, okay, this person is already working for me. So definitely dress the part. Obviously, come well groomed and just and all that. Press your shirt or blouse, whatever it is, and just look the part. Okay. Awesome. All right. So a gentle warning here as well. It's it is a physically taxing job, or it can be. Some places are, every place is different, but it can be a pretty physically taxing job. You will be moving kegs around, which can weigh quite a bit. And sometimes things just get jammed and stuck, like pour spouts and all that. So there's going to be a lot of physical activity going on. You're going to be running back and forth. I knew this person that was working at a bar that had 3 different floors, and they had to use the stairs for different things. So sometimes they'll have to go up to grab like a certain spirit from one bar, come back down. It sounded like a nightmare. Again, I'm reiterating the long hours. They can be long hours depending on where you work. I feel like restaurant bars are going to be a little bit different, since restaurants tend to close a little bit earlier. Bars will tend to stay open till like 2 a.m., which will mean that you're going to be stuck there till 3 a.m. To clean and to, prep for the next day. Late nights can be kind of difficult for a lot of people, especially in like a family setting, just because then you don't get to see your partner very often. Also, something to keep in mind is food. Always try to carry some sort of snacks with you, because yeah, it's very hard to stop working. You will sometimes work through your breaks, but yeah, so just a little bit of a dark side of of the bar realm. But once you have like a rhythm, it just works out. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything here. Um, does anyone have any questions about any of these things? Maybe something that's just kind of popped in their minds.
I have a question.
Huh?
Can you talk a little bit about the protocol of eating or drinking while you're working? I mean, if
Yeah,
you are,
so
yeah, go ahead.
legal legally, what in bars and restaurants as well, there you're supposed to be given a break before your 6th hour. So you will be given that 30-minute break. If they don't give that to you, then that's a penalty. So what they'll end up having to do for that 30 minutes that you did not take, they end up paying you overtime, essentially. So they pay you an hour and overtime for that missed break and whatever hours that you're still pulling while you're working. You also get 2 10-minute breaks as well. In a lot of cases that I've seen so far has been where people will have to take their breaks. In some cases, that's not what happens because it's just too busy. So like clubs and lounges. So those places, they'll probably be a little bit more lenient with that rule, and they'll let you decide. You can take your break if you want to, or just work through your break. What a lot of people have told me was they like to carry, like their nuts in their pocket, with the Ziploc, or just something that's easy to grab and like snack on while you're, working and kind of going at a certain pace. So I definitely recommend that as well, just because, your health matters. Um, yeah, I think health does matter a lot more than just, hardcore grinding. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Okay. I am back.
Hi,
Hello.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have had my resume redone with the LBS,
Hmm.
and they made it look so professional, focused on all my new bartending skills, along with all my past history, um, knowledge and things of working in the industry. But I feel like the resume comes off kind of snotty, if
Mm,
that makes sense. Like, I'm only there for their bartender position and that's it.
yeah.
Um, and I can't edit it.
Oh,
So I'm wondering if I should say something to the people who made the resume with LBS, or if I should like kind of dummy it down a little bit, maybe for certain places, so that it might not come off so hotty toddy.
right. Um,
Otherwise, I mean, my friend looked at it and she's like, "Oh no, it looks great. Like I would think that you put all that work and intention into that resume that, it shows something too." So, like, I'm kind of on the fence on that.
right. So yeah, that's a pretty tough decision to make for sure. What I would do if I were in your shoes, I would write out pretty much a similar resume, but maybe in my own words, and see how I feel about that. Um, and then maybe have your friend look at both of them and compare the two and say, um, which one she or he likes. So I would do that.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand that they have their LVS logo on it.
Oh,
So they created it. So therefore, obviously I can't edit it, which is
I
a little frustrating, but I
right.
do understand. Yeah. So, okay. That's good advice. I'll take it. Thank you.
Of course, no problem. And what's your name? Sorry.
I'm Stina Shrewsbury.
Stina, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, I think that we're okay. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. We have another 5 minutes here together. And it doesn't have to be about resumes or anything like that.
I actually do.
Okay.
Pouring wine, it was not really included in our, course. When people, like, if you're at, like, let's say the Olive Garden, for instance, and they have an 8-ounce glass of wine, or they have a 6-ounce glass of wine. I forget which one, but you can upgrade. How do they do that in the bar? Do they measure the wine with the jiggers, or are they eyeball, like, counting? It's a
Yes,
wine bottle.
right. In most cases, let me grab. Okay, so here's the glass for wine. This is for what I like to say, because people will say this is for red wine or white wine. Don't
Yeah,
know.
let's go with red.
Let's do that. But the easier way to do it is if it's long and skinny, then it's for the long and skinny bottles. If the bottle is curvaceous on the bottom, then it's going to be for the bigger Pinot Noir glasses.
Okay.
What you want to do with any of these wine glasses is you want to fill it to the spot where it's going to have the most surface area. That way it's the aromatics will start working properly the way that they should.
Okay.
As far as like upgrades and stuff goes, I don't know how that would work. That would be very specific to Olive Garden. But I would just fill up to there every time. If someone wants more, then I'll just wait until they're done with this one and then add more until I get to the same spot.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll inform you probably on how to measure the differences within that restaurant if it's that specific, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Some places they'll have carafes, like miniature carafes, where they'll pour the wine into them to a certain level, and then they'll pour that carafe into the wine glass in order to get that exact measurement. Other
Okay.
places don't care, but that's um, what here should happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. Any other questions?
I guess the question I would have now is, I know we're supposed to watch 3. I've been on 3 of these meetings, but can we continue to tune into these every week, or when we're done with our
Absolutely.
training, we stop? Oh, we can.
Yeah, absolutely you can. Again, this is weekly. This is free for you guys at any time. So I'll be here every week. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you both for coming today. Well, thank you all for coming today. And yeah, I'll go ahead and add my Instagram handle here so that if you have any questions at all at any time, you can go ahead and follow me there and message me there anytime. Okay, awesome. Thanks again, everyone, and I will see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good evening.